Hey Google, turn on all the lights.
All right, turning on 6 lights. Sorry.
That's better. So, last time I did one of these videos, I don't know what happened. I bumped something when I was doing color adjustment, bumped the exposure, got it a little dark and muddy. So if you sat through that video, I hope you got something out of the content, and I apologize for the video quality. But this time, I actually have a little assistance to help me light things up a little. And that is this little AI box that's over to my right here. This has been kind of useful for me as I've gone along, because I can just say, hey, turn on the studio lights or whatever, and it does it. And so it's become this assistive tool that I've come to depend on as I do podcasting. And it's gotten me thinking about other uses for AI tools and the other tools that I have used in my life for my work and over the years. I know that right now, so I talk to a lot of authors and I talk to a lot of creators, and there's a little bit of a worry, almost a panic at times, when they start talking about AI and the worry that it's going to take over and do all the creation work for them, or instead of them, actually. And, there's a little bit of a meme floating around, and it's like, we thought that when we invented artificial intelligence and robots, like they would take over mowing the lawn and washing our cars and washing our dishes, while we got to create poems and write novels and create music. And instead, it's doing all the creation of poems and novels and music, and we're stuck mowing the lawn. I think that's funny, and I can totally see it. But I also think it's, I want to push back on it a little, because I think that the key here is that, yes, AI can be used to do these things, but it's also just a tool. And like every tool, it changes the game a little bit if we use it right. If we are intentional in the way we use it, it can help us create better and create more. So, for example, I remember when Photoshop came out, and there was a lot of outcry that this was cheating. It was cheating because it's going to put photographers out of business. It's going to put photo labs out of business. Retouch and all that is going to go away. And I remember that was a big deal for a little while, and maybe it did end some careers. I don't know for sure, but I know that certain types of photo production lab work went away because you could do color correction and change things around, but it also kind of created an outcry because people could now take images and do things with them that they couldn't have done in camera, that were impossible to create in the real world. And so there was kind of a pushback against that at the time. But look at it now. It's so ubiquitous, you don't even notice it anymore. And people have taken it to new levels and created new things. Like, I create all my covers for my books in Photoshop. I do some photo work. I'll do a little bit. I use Adobe Lightroom now for color correction and things like that on my photography. But there's a lot you can do with Photoshop that would have been impossible otherwise. And why would we turn down a tool that would allow us to create more, right? The same is true with non-linear video editing. I remember when that started to become a thing, there was an outcry that, well, you're no longer cutting and splicing real film, so it's going to ruin the film industry. And you're doing digital video editing, and instead of having all this equipment that you need to go deck to deck and run reels of tape, you're just digitizing it and doing fancy stuff with it. And people were upset about that and claimed that it was going to end careers and end industries. And all it did was enhance all that stuff. So that's the way I've come to think of AI as a tool. I mean, technology comes along and it changes the game. The telephone replaced the telegraph. Yes, that happened. cars took over for horses on our roads. There were people who were upset about this stuff. Electricity took over for candlelight. There were people who were afraid of electricity. We deal with this every time new technology comes along. And our tendency is to treat technology the way we used its sort of older analog. So people tried to use the telephone the same way they used telegraphs. They would, pick up the line, talk to an operator, get someone on the other end, and after each sentence they'd say stop. Just like you would for telegraph, to let someone know where the sentence ended. You didn't have to do that, but that was the way we did it for a while. We tend to use the new thing in the way that we are used to using the old thing until we discover that we can do all new stuff with it. So AI is kind of the same way, and we're kind of still learning how that's going to be used as a creative tool. And I know the complaints, and I've seen folks like, Justine Bateman on Twitter goes off on AI all the time, calls it lazy creation. I can get it. I get it. But let's talk about that. I got 3 ideas I want to discuss. So let's get into that. So first up, don't use AI to do the work for you. Use it to do the work. That, I think, is the key difference. So when I left Draft Digital, they were already getting thousands of uploads of books every day from people who were just generating as many new novels as they could using AI, and a lot of them were garbage, and some of them maybe had a little more effort put into them, and they were actual books, but they still weren't great. Now, I'm not going to make the argument that an AI book can't be good. I think we've had AI books actually win awards in like Japan or China or something, but I think that we're kind of missing the point here. So the people who are going to use AI to create things wholesale, they're relying on the AI to do all the creative thinking for them. They're missing the point. So if you're just approaching creative work from a purely profit-driven concept, then this kind of makes sense. We're going to just, we're going to expand our ability and make as many new products as we can. That makes a little bit of sense, but it's just not quite, if you are in the creative world, that's just not the way we need to be using this stuff, right? So AI is a tool that we can use to craft an experience, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a moment. But the point is, AI is this creative tool that if you learn to use it, if you use it properly, you are, it's aiding you in creation rather than doing the creation for you. So yeah, I can type a prompt and get an image, but that image in and of itself probably isn't going to work great for a cover until I start putting a little bit of additional work into it. Now, can you generate a cover? I've seen people do it, and I've seen some pretty amazing covers come out of it. But that, that's more of that sort of factory model. We're just going to plug in an input and get an output, and that's the thing we sell. But if, as a creative, I'm not going to want to do that. I'm going to want to craft more of an experience for my reader. So I want that cover to have some of my DNA in it, some of my soul in it. That's the point, and I think that's the thing that people overlook. They're so worried that AI is going to steal the work from them and do all the creative work instead of them doing it, that they're missing out on the ability to use AI to enhance the work that they do. So, do I use AI to write my books? Absolutely not. Do I use AI to help me in writing the books? Absolutely, because it's better. I mean, I can make the work better. The research goes faster. If I need a word that I can't think of, I don't spend half an hour trying to look it up or think of it. I can ask AI, and AI can supply the word. I'm struggling for a way to describe this street in Paris that I've never been to, and it can give me some verbiage I can play with. I've never put anything from AI into a book that didn't get my sort of rewrite and touch. But I have used AI plenty to help me figure out how to express something that I haven't expressed before. And maybe that is cheating in a way, but what I'm trying to do is use a tool to help me craft an experience. So creation isn't about the tools, but it is about how you use the tools. And I think that's what I was getting at before, is that, you don't want to just have a tool create for you. Photoshop, when that came on the scene, I could have it do all kinds of interesting things on my behalf, but I still needed to direct that. I still needed to guide that in order for it to become art. And I don't think at this point anybody's arguing that something I create wholesale in Photoshop is art now. And maybe we'll get to that point eventually with AI. I think people are going to fight that for a long time. But it's about more than just engineering the right prompt. It's about taking the materials that AI generates for you and putting them together in a story. So everything I do is about story. All the work I do, this video, the accompanying Substack post, the podcasts that I do, getting on stage and talking to people, all that stuff, it's all part of a story. These are all elements of storytelling for me. And it all adds to the Kevin Tumlinson story. So, but what I'm trying to do is craft an experience for my readers and listeners and viewers that brings them into that story. And the tools are what allow me to be able to do that better. So Photoshop, nonlinear editing, AI, cameras and lights and microphones, all those things are just tools that allow me to express the ideas better and to craft the story more efficiently and to bring you in to this experience. That is the point. And that brings me to the final idea, which is it isn't cheating if you're the one crafting the experience. So yes, I might go to an AI tool and have it generate an image, a song, some piece of we'll call it art, but some piece of material that I'm using. But I'm the one who has to put it all together. This podcast, for example, there's a music track running under me right now. I created that music track using AI. I took that though and edited it and made it what I needed it to be, and then I edit the video to the beats of that thing, and that's what creates the audio experience for this show. So it's not that AI stole someone's job and created the music. And maybe in a sense it did, but what if I had sat down and learned how to generate that music on my own and played it on my own? Or what if I just did something simple, some simple tune, and just kept layering it in something like GarageBand or some pro audio tool and just built it that way, stacked it up that way? So I'm putting in more effort. Does that make that actual creation? Or is it the fact that I took that element and folded it into what I was creating? Does that make it creation? For years, I was using stock art and photography. I was using stock music and sound effects, stock video. In fact, there's probably some stock video clips as B-roll in this video. I've done that my entire career. Is that not creation? If I'm putting all those pieces together? If it's not, then the entire film industry and the entire television industry have not been engaging in creation almost since the inception of the tools. And the same with music. Music gets sampled a lot. You'll have plenty of songs that pop up that are borrowing lyrics and tunes from other songs. So is it creative or not? I think that it is, and I would argue that it is. So it's all about you being the one to craft the experience. I think that eliminates the whole concept of cheating. So anyway, that's where we are with it. I wanted to talk about it. It was an idea I had while I was on a walk this morning. And you'll make sure you're going to want to check out the accompanying Substack post that I'll be writing about this. So go check that out. You can find that, by the way, at kevintumlinson.substack.com. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to this video. I appreciate it. And go and check out my my little shop that I'm building. It's called Curated. You can find that at kevintumlinson.com/curated, and that's got all kinds of little items. And there's a story with every item, a little vignette about each item that that is meant to engage you and show you like how that thing sort of fits in my story, so that hopefully it becomes part of your story. So that said, thanks for tuning in. My AI assistant and I thank you, and I hope that this video has a little more light to it, but adds a little more light to your life. So thanks for tuning in.